Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. So let me dive in. We are living during the most extraordinary time ever in human history. And the challenge is that none of us really realize how powerful we are. We're living in a time where the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest business opportunities. As I teach at Singularity University, you want to become a billionaire, help a billion people. And there's probably no greater community that has that mindset than you here today. So I want to talk about a few concepts that are part of the philosophy that I write about, that I teach at Singularity University, that power our XPRIZEs, that I think are enabling us to transform the planet, to go from a world of a couple of halves, the king and the queen on the hilltop, and the rest of the world in squalor, to a world of, yes, a few super halves, but a world where we meet the basic needs of every man, woman, and child inside of the next 20 to 30 years. So let's talk about the 6 Ds. I've had a chance to meet with a number of you that have told me this concept drove a lot of what you've built in the blockchain world. It's the notion that when you digitize something, and you can say tokenize something, it enters a period of slow, deceptive growth. Like the first digital cameras were 0.01 megapixel and 0.02 and 0.04 and 0.08, but eventually they were 10 megapixel cameras and they disrupted film photography. And when that happens, you then begin to dematerialize, demonetize, and democratize products and services. And in the cryptocurrency, in the token world, it's really about dematerializing, demonetizing, and democratizing products and services around the world. So what does that mean? It means this, that 20 years later, all of these things fit in your pocket. That when I talk to the CEOs of the largest companies on the planet, I say, which of your products and services are you working to dematerialize, to make into ones and zeros? Because at the end of the day, when you do, the benefit is that you can demonetize, right? That all of these companies and the companies that you're creating are demonetizing the costs of products and services. And the benefit for that demonetization and that dematerialization ultimately is democratization. That we're entering a time where if you want to reach and touch the lives of 1 billion people in Africa, you can. You can be a kid in your pajamas in your garage and reach what used to be only possible by Muhtar Kent at Coca-Cola or Jeff Immelt at GE. When I talk about the concept of abundance, and I think very much the mindset of the blockchain economy is one of abundance, the realization is that technology takes whatever used to be scarce and makes it abundant over and over again, that there is, nothing that is truly scarce. That we're entering a world in which we are creating abundance for every single product and service. So what does that mean? We used to think of it, energy was scarce, right? We used to go and kill whales to get oil to light our nights. And then we ravaged mountainsides to get coal. And then we drilled kilometers under the ocean floor. And today we realize there's 8,000 times more energy hitting us from the sun than we consume as a species in a year. Right? Energy is not scarce. It's just not in a usable form yet, but it will be. If you have abundant energy, you've got abundant water. We live on a water planet. At the end of the day, we're now running an XPRIZE in India called the Water Abundance XPRIZE. It asks teams to take water out of the humidity of the air and give every family clean drinking water at 2 cents per liter. Health and learning are going to effectively be something available for free. If you think about that, in a smartphone in Tanzania, a child has equal access to knowledge as Larry Page at Alphabet. That's extraordinary. It's a complete democratization of information. And that same thing is going to happen on learning and health with AI. Time, money, expertise, resources, there is nothing truly scarce. So one of the biggest changes about to happen that's going to change all of our lives, and it's enabled and empowered by a token economy, is connecting the planet. 2019, we're going to start to see the testing and the early days of deployment of 5G. My friends at Qualcomm, this is the ability for a cell phone to deliver 10 to 100 gigabit connection speeds, right? Download a movie in a fraction of a second. But that's just the beginning, because on top of that, Zuck is launching drones and satellites, Google with balloons and satellites, Richard Branson, Paul Jacobs, Greg Weiler with $1.2 billion of SoftBank's money, launching a 900 satellite constellation. Boeing is launching 7 10 terabyte satellites. And then SpaceX is launching a 4,425 satellite constellation with gigabit connection speeds. Here's the bottom line. In 2017, last year, there was 3.8 billion people connected. In the next 6 years, that number is going to 8 billion. We're about to connect the other half of humanity. And they're not coming online like I did at 9600 baud at AOL, right? They're coming online at a gigabit connection speed with access to the world's information on Google and Baidu, with access to AI, to 3D printing on the cloud. Now, what do 4.2 billion new people in the next 6 years want? What are they going to create? What are they going to consume? From my standpoint, these 4.2 billion new people are your customers. If they're not your customers, they're your customers' customers. These 4.2 billion people are all going to want banking. They're not going to go to ATMs. They're all going to want health insurance and life insurance. They're not going to go to insurance brokers. 4.2 billion new customers are all going to want this in a dematerialized, demonetized, democratized fashion on the blockchain. Right? You talk about an explosion of opportunity. This is the perfect time to deliver these services digitally. All right, next concept. I spend my years looking at what is going from the deceptive to disruptive this coming year. I teach this in my Abundance digital community at Abundance 360 at Singularity University. I ask the question, where are we in that knee of the curve? When are we at that point? When are we at the point that things are about to explode? And so something hit me a few years ago. I was on stage with Mark Andreessen, interviewing him at Singularity University, and the conversation turned to something which blew my mind. And it's something that is so apropos for all of us here. It's the realization that we all need to be creating what I call user interface moments. So in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, we created something called ARPANET, right? These large computers at MIT, at Carnegie Mellon, Washington, D.C., at Stanford that were connected by this backbone of the Advanced Research Project Agency. And if you had a terminal, you could use that ARPANET in a very arcane fashion. But it was very powerful. And then one day, a young grad student, Mark Andreessen, comes up with the concept of Mosaic. And Mosaic was a user interface moment. It was a user interface on top of ARPANET, upon which companies and individuals could build websites and start earning business, could start creating wealth on top of this very complex system. And so the numbers were pretty amazing, right? In 93, there were 26 websites. In 94, 10,000 websites. In 98, millions. And the explosion of today's internet came into existence. And so for me, there are other analogies. This is the App Store on top of this capability of iPhones. And so what I think we need more than ever before in the blockchain cryptocurrency space are user interfaces, right? I'm looking always in the companies that I advise, the ICOs that I invest in, I'm looking for user interfaces. Is there a user interface that is out there that someone can build businesses on top of. So one of the very first companies I supported was Block V with their atomic systems and their ability to help you visualize things. So at the end of the day, your job is to take a complicated system and to make it simple for the user to use, and even more so, to make it possible for a user to build wealth or value or create capabilities or contributions on top of your system. The more people using you on top of an existing system, the more they support you. So, I'll close with the concept of abundance. I had a chance to write a book years ago called Abundance, The Future is Better Than You Think. I love the fact that we're living in a world of abundance, but most people don't realize that. Over the last 100 years, the per capita income for every nation on this planet has tripled. The lifespan of the human race has doubled. The literacy has quadrupled. Food has dropped 30-fold. Transportation and energy 50 to 100-fold. Communications millions-fold. Our job is to realize that we are creating a world of abundance. And ultimately, that you and the work that you're doing is driving this. We're alive during the most extraordinary time ever in human history. Your ability to use the tools that you're building to give people the energy, the healthcare, the education, the freedom, the basic needs of humanity, and to make it accessible to 8 billion people. We're alive today where I put more faith in the hands of entrepreneurs than I do governments, in the hands of single individuals driven to change the world than I do collectives. You are more powerful than governments. You're alive during a time where you can change the world. What you do with your powers is extraordinarily important, right? As the great philosopher said, with great power comes great responsibility. Enjoy. Have a great day. Thank you.